Hello everyone, my name is Morin and this is my research paper presentation, and that is me you see here in the picture enjoying a lovely glass of Cabernet Sauvignon. So let's go ahead and get this started. My research paper is on Islamic theater history, and just a little bit of a background about why I chose this topic. Many of you may know, I think I've had some classes with a few of you before, I'm actually a mathematics major, almost done. But before that, I was a theater major with an acting emphasis. I actually received an Associate of Fine Arts from Lon Morris College back in 2006. Meant to continue on and make that my career, but I decided that I'd actually rather do something a little more stable so I can support a family and all that good stuff. So here's just the information again. Morin, that's me. This is our class. So research questions. What were we going into? What were we asking? The question is, how did the performance arts evolve in the Arab world, and what contributions have their culturally specific methods and styles had on Western theater? And again, just like I said, I was a theater major, and part of my studies, we had to do a lot of theater history, kind of going back into the history of the performing arts in terms of the ancient Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, all over the world, basically, England, America, Native American even, but we never really got into the Arab world and Muslims, and I kind of wondered, why is that? And so that's what I wanted to kind of find out. My problem statement or thesis statement, if you will, is that most likely due to the conservative nature of fundamentalist Islam, the performing arts were probably very limited and not as open in the Arab world as other cultures. This being the case, what did develop in the Arab world, or what may have developed in isolation, which, like wildlife adapting in an isolated environment, has resulted in some very unique aspects. The purpose of my research was to explore the history of theater in the Arab world, including its development, influences, and unique aspects, and its modern incarnation. So here you'll see what my research outline was, just kind of a simplified thing. I wanted to go over a brief history of Islam as a religion and its basic tenets, because just to be completely honest, I am not terribly familiar besides with the Muslim world, besides the basics and kind of what we see in the news and online, and I know that there's a lot more to it than that. So I wanted to kind of dive into that history. But also, kind of after we've established that basis, that background, I want to explore the history of theater and the performing arts in Arab countries to include pre-Islamic art and the development and practice of performing arts under Islam. And then finally, talk about outside cultural influences to include influences from outside cultures, and then the influence that Islamic theater had on other cultures. And so what did I find out? The findings from the literature. Well, according to the literature that I was able to find, there actually is a rich performance and theater tradition in Muslim lands that predates the introduction of Western styles and influences, and that performances, even those firmly rooted in Muslim rites and ceremonies, talking about modern-day performances, all of these seem to have originated actually in pre-Islamic rituals and observances. One of the things that I kind of noticed was that specifics on these pre-Islamic rituals are kind of hard to find, and that the sources that I did find often contradicted one another. So I'm not sure why this is the case, but it doesn't seem to be too widely a studied subject, and perhaps that's why we didn't learn about it when I was a theater major. Islamic rituals and observances have impacted the religious performances of other cultures. As an example, I found out about the Haqqani's sitting song dances and frame drum genres, pardon me. And kind of a little bit about that, it seems like that as the Muslim religion spread throughout the area, the region, and the world, either through conversion or military conquest, the Muslims did what a lot of times the early Christians did as they took over countries that had a lot of pagan religions and rituals. They kind of adopted and adapted those and kind of made them their own. So, we have, as an example, Easter, which kind of originated from fertility celebrations. We have, the rabbit and the eggs, etc. But Christians turned that into celebration of the resurrection of Christ. In a similar way, these performances, these song and dances, and basically ritualistic prayers in Indonesia, the Haqqanis originally were their own thing, but as it converted to Islam, they kind of made it an Islamic thing. Conclusion. While it is thought that the Quran's prohibition of idolatry would have stifled the development of theater arts, this is not actually the case. Islamic performing arts developed on their own without the influence from Western culture. And how this relates to my original thesis is just that I found that my original assumptions about fundamentalist Islam preventing a rich theater history were, in fact, incorrect. I was correct in that the basically the performing arts that did develop developed on their own, just because I kind of felt that originally, like I said, that there weren't a whole lot of outside influences on Islamic culture just because of how staunch that religion is, or at least in my observation and research. This research is actually really, really interesting, though at times very frustrating, just because, as I said, it was hard to find a lot of specific information on pre-Islamic performing arts, and even on the performing arts that arose after the rise and spread of Islam. So it was difficult to find information that was specific, and the specific information that I found was hard to pin down what was right and what was wrong because there was a lot of contradictory information. Seems like I said, this isn't a subject that people, or that a whole lot of people anyway, have put a lot of time and effort into, and there's not a lot of agreement on those between those that have. So I thought that was rather interesting. This is a list of my references. You can see that here. I'm not going to read all those off to you, but there they are, in case you're interested in finding any of them on your own. But that about sums it up. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to go through this, and I want to apologize because I know I talk very quickly. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. But I hope you all enjoyed it and at least piqued your interest, and I hope you have a great remainder of class. Thank you very much.